NBC6 News at 4.
So many parents picked up their kids from school and are having these tough conversations about what they're seeing and hearing. Roxy, you have two boys, very similar ages. Did you talk to them? What was the conversation like?
Not yet, because I know that I had to check myself, but I could tell you I'm pretty sure that my 8-year-old is going to come home with some sort of question, because it's really hard to shield them from what they're hearing, from what they're seeing, because their peers, their friends, their buddies might be talking about it. So that's why I turned to Dr. Dara de Leon. She's a clinical psychologist. She navigated us through Parkland several years ago, and she's back here now to give all of us some tips and some advice on how to handle this with our children. Take a listen.
I think it's important to ask them questions that feel uncomfortable to us, to understand where they're at with it and what they're hearing and what they're knowing. Oftentimes we don't want to give our kids too much information, but we also don't want to avoid it, because the avoidance only scares them more and leads to them misunderstanding things. On an individual basis, each family is going to navigate through this differently based on past experiences, current experiences, and what feels comfortable to them. Often we get caught in thinking what's best for us is what other families are doing, but it's really important to address where your family is and what the levels of anxiety that your kids are having.
And acknowledge that anxiety, and really start with yourself and checking yourself and seeing where you are. So many emotions, right, that we're all grappling with here: fear, anxiety, anger, and then how do you cope with it from here? Listen.
I think beyond, and I think it's okay to acknowledge that anger and also ask ourselves what we can do as being part of the solution, instead of continuing to see that these problems are happening. You know, I know for myself and for my clients, one of the things we talk a lot about is the exposure that our kids have and how we can really connect as families to our values, to what's important to us, opposed to putting our kids in front of iPads and televisions. And unfortunately, these acts of violence are just brewing out there.
We just talked about this in Buffalo. Here we are again talking about this in Texas and how it connects back to our community. So it hasn't gone away, and it really starts with making sure that you are in check with your emotions, because our children pick up our cues. So whatever it is that you need to address yourself as a parent, as a caretaker, make sure that you're offering your child all the facts, but don't give them more than what they need to know. From toddlers to teens, almost let them lead the conversation and asking the questions and tell them the truth. But especially with the young ones, right, you want to protect their innocence. Tell them the truth, but don't tell them more than what they need to know. And it's really time to get back to basis as a family, however it is that you cope, and doing things together. Journaling, meditation, even the young ones, they could journal with pictures, right? And just continue that conversation with our families.
Tailoring it to their age and assuring them that their school is safe, that their teachers and their staff, they're doing what they can. You know, that reassurance is so critical for them.